You ask me if the Song Dynasty was a weak dynasty? I have to laugh. Have you ever seen a weak dynasty that could hold its ground against the Mongol cavalry which swept across Asia and Europe for a full 40 years? I am Zhao Kuangyin, a mere soldier who was destined for a life of battle. Yet, by a strange twist of fate, I found myself robed in imperial yellow, becoming the founding emperor of the Great Song. Today, I will take you on a journey through the 300-year history of my family's 18 emperors, from unification to downfall. In the year 960, I was ordered north to fight our enemies. Instead, a group of my sworn brothers forced me to take the throne at Chenchao Courier Station. They called it the Mandate of Heaven. I feigned reluctance, but in my heart, I knew it was better for a familiar hand like mine to clean up the mess than to let others wreak havoc. My first act as emperor was to conquer the small, independent kingdoms of the south, one by one. Later Shu, Southern Han, Southern Tangde all fell into my hands. Then I invited my generals for a few cups of wine. As we drank, I persuaded them to relinquish their military power. This became known as releasing military power over a cup of wine. From then on, the armies of the realm answered only to the emperor, not to their generals. I thought that by securing our borders and stabilizing the court, I could finally rest. But heaven is jealous of talent. One night in 976, after sharing some wine with my younger brother, Zhao Kuangyin, I mysteriously passed away the next day. They said it was a sudden illness, but I knew my time had come. My brother, Zhao Kuangyin, was no slouch after taking the throne. He pacified the states of Yue and Northern Han, finally ending the chaotic period of the 5 dynasties and 10 kingdoms. However, he launched 2 campaigns against the Khitan Liao dynasty to reclaim the 16 prefectures, and both ended in disastrous failure. Unable to win on the battlefield, he made peace with the Liao, securing decades of tranquility. It was under his reign that the very fabric of our great song began to change. Scholars were elevated, while military commanders were sidelined. The ancestral law was set in stone. Exalt the civil and suppress the military. As a ghost watching from the afterlife, seeing these decisions unfold, my smile slowly faded. Zhao Guangji's son, Zhao Heng, was a capable emperor in his own right. When the Liao army pushed south to our very doorstep, he, urged by his chancellor Kozun, personally led the troops at the Battle of Shanzhou. A single shot from a powerful crossbow killed the Liao commander, forcing them to sign the Treaty of Shanyuan. Though we had to pay an annual tribute of silver and silk, it bought us over a century of peace, which was far better than constant war. Unfortunately, in his later years, Zhao Heng became obsessed with Taoist rituals and grand ceremonies, throwing the court into disarray. Before he died, he uttered a phrase that would echo through the ages. Within books, one can find houses of gold. Within books, one can find faces like jade. This became the creed of scholars, but our nation too increasingly resembled a land of bookworms. Next came Emperor Renzong, Zhao Zhen. He reigned for 42 years, the longest of any Song emperor. Ascending the throne as a child, he first ruled under the regency of Empress Dowager Liu. After taking power himself, he presided over a golden age. The Song Dynasty's population, economy, science, and culture were arguably the most advanced in the world at the time. But beneath the glittering surface, dark currents stirred. Li Yuanhao of the Western Xia declared independence, leading to years of conflict before peace was restored. Renzong was a benevolent ruler who valued talent, promoting officials like Fan Zhongyan and Ouyang Xiu, and sponsoring Sima Guang's monumental historical work, the Ziji Tongjian. But as always, fate does not grant lasting stability. After Renzong, Zhao Shu reigned briefly, followed by Emperor Shenzong, Zhao Xuan, of the most ambitious rulers of my family. He appointed Wang Anshi to enact sweeping reforms. The reforms were bold, but the opposition was fiercer. The court split into warring factions of new and old parties. Torn between his ambition to strengthen the nation and the fear of political turmoil, Shenzong died young, a man worn down by internal strife. From this point on, the imperial court was no longer a place for governance, but an arena for partisan battles. The next to ascend the throne was my descendant, Zhao Ji, better known as Emperor Huizong. He was a master of the arts calligraphy, painting, music. He created the unique, slender gold style of calligraphy and left behind masterpieces like Listening to the Chin and Auspicious Cranes. But as a politician, he was an unmitigated disaster. He favored corrupt ministers like Kai Jing and launched the Huaxi Gang project, scouring the empire for rare stones and exotic plants, causing immense suffering among the people. When the Jingkang Dynasty rose in the north, he made the fatal mistake of allying with them to destroy the Liao, only to let a wolf in the door. In the first year of the Jingkang era, Jin forces laid siege to the capital. A terrified Huizong abdicated in favor of his son, Zhao Huan, Emperor Qinzong. But it was too late. The Jin army stormed Bianjing and captured over 3,000 members of my imperial family, taking them north as prisoners. This catastrophe is known as the humiliation of Jingkang. The northern Song Dynasty had fallen, but my family's line was not yet extinguished. Zhao Huan's younger brother, Zhao Gu, escaped the disaster and established a new court in the south, founding the Southern Song. Some call him a coward and a deserter, but I see him as the last glimmer of hope after the fall of a nation. He appointed brilliant generals like Yue Fei, Han Shizhong, and Zhang Jun to fight the Jin invaders. Yet, tragically, driven by fear that his generals would become too powerful, he had Yue Fei executed on trumped-up charges. This is a blood debt my family can never repay. But it was Zhao Gu who held on to the southern half of the empire, buying the time and laying the foundation for a later period of prosperity and for the long resistance against the Mongols. The emperors of the Southern Song are often seen as weak, scholarly rulers, but to think they achieved nothing would be a mistake. The Mongols swept across Asia and Europe, conquering Persia and destroying the Jin, yet they were held at the Yangtze River for decades. What stopped them? The indomitable will of the Southern Song soldiers and civilians, who endured decades of bitter struggle, from Mengdong and Yu Yunwen to Wen Tianxiang and Zhang Shiji. Our blood soaked every inch of this land. In 1279, at the naval Battle of Yamen, with the Yuan army closing in, the loyal minister Lu Shufu took the child emperor, Zhao Bing, in his arms and leaped into the sea. The flame of the great song was finally extinguished in the waves. 300 years, 18 emperors. You say the song was weak? It had the world's most advanced technology, the most prosperous cities, and a brilliant culture. It has been called the most flourishing civilization of the medieval era. It lost the northern lands but preserved the cultural soul of Cathay. It failed to reclaim the north, but exhausted the Mongol horde for nearly half a century. I am no saint. I am Zhao Kuangyin, an old soldier who traded his armor for a yellow robe and his general's swords for cups of wine to bring peace to a fractured land. My family may not have been the mightiest warriors, but we were, without a doubt, the most resilient.